All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warriors video. Check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations there in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right. Warriors made 3 moves this week, a couple draft picks and a trade. And let's give some grades out for the 3 transactions. And we're going to start with the trade. Chris Paul acquired from the Washington Wizards in a trade that sent Jordan Poole and Ryan Rollins, a protected first-round pick in 2030 and a second-round pick to the Wizards. And Chris Paul, the future Hall of Famer, coming to the Golden State Warriors. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, man, you traded a healthy 24-year-old Jordan Poole for a somewhat banged up, maybe injury prone 38-year-old point guard. A lot of people just said at first glance, give it an F. Give that trade an F. I hate it. So many Warriors fans have come out with that take. All right. I think that's a little too simplistic. You have to kind of look at all the angles in this thing. First of all, let's look at championship odds. Before the Warriors traded for Paul, PointsBet had the Warriors' odds of being champions at plus 1,400. However, with Chris Paul in the mix, the Warriors' championship odds have jumped to plus 1,100. So their odds are better with Chris Paul to win a title. And if the goal is to win one more ring with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, this trade is probably a good trade. But I think there's a couple things you got to look at when you're grading out this trade. One, let's talk about it for a second. Jordan Poole is a broken player. Jordan Poole loves to hoist deep threes, and he's not a great shooter. He's a 32% shooter from 3 this last year. He was a 25% three-point shooter in the playoffs. Deep threes is Steph Curry's game. And just because you're a similar height to Steph Curry doesn't mean you have his game. And nobody told Jordan Poole that. So he loves to do something he's not great at, and that's hoist heat check threes and pretend he's Steph Curry. What he is good at, Jordan Poole, that is pounding the dribble, beating people off the dribble, penetrating, getting inside, and either finishing or going to the line. But he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to take the punishment, and he doesn't know how to draw fouls. And then what does he do? He doesn't want the punishment, and he doesn't want to draw, and he doesn't draw fouls, and then he pouts. And he's got a terrible relationship with the refs. He in the Lakers series, he shot 4 free throws total in the entire series. He's a broken player. He loves to do what he's not good at. He doesn't love to do what he is good at. And he signed to a ridiculously inflated contract. Shame on the Warriors. Jordan didn't pay himself, but that decreases his value. So when you overpay a guy and he doesn't do anything in the playoffs and evaporates in crunch time, and he doesn't want punishment, and he pouts, and he's all about himself, it doesn't matter if he works hard. It doesn't matter if he's got youth on his side. He's a broken player. So I have no problem with them moving on from Jordan Poole because of those reasons. Now, as far as, the other aspects of this trade, the Warriors are getting Chris Paul. A year from now, they can play Chris Paul this year, and he'll help their second unit. He'll take better care of the basketball. I think overall he's a better distributor than Jordan Poole, clearly. And I think he knows how to play basketball. He'll play winning basketball. He won't turn it over as much. He's not going to be as helter-skelter with the ball. If it doesn't work this year, the Warriors have a $30 million expiring contract. They can trade Chris Paul to a team for a $30 million player next summer, and the team that trades for Paul can let him walk with no penalty. So he's going to be valuable next year as an expiring for anybody who wants to get out from a significant $25 million plus contract. So it's not like they have eliminated the chance of turning that salary slot into a bigger player in a year. So for that reason, I really like it as well. It also, in my mind, signifies that the Warriors are probably going to have Draymond Green return. I believe that Draymond probably leveraged that deal. He probably told the Warriors it's him or me. Now, I'll give this trade or this move 2 grades. If they can re-sign Draymond Green, I'm going to give it a B minus. It's not an awesome trade by any stretch, but I think it's a good trade if they can re-sign Draymond Green. You get, there's all kinds of factors here. What would happen if Draymond Green leaves? And I think Draymond Green leveraged it. So if Draymond was going to leave, how is that going to affect Steve Kerr? Was Steve Kerr coming back or was he leaving? How is that going to affect Steph Curry? I mean, there were several things. This thing could have gotten out of hand and the entire franchise could have unraveled if they had sided with Poole over Green. So siding with Green over Poole, I think is smart. And I'll give the trade a B minus if the Warriors are able to couple this trade with the re-signing of Draymond Green. I'll give it an F if they can't. If Draymond Green still winds up signing with the Sacramento Kings or the Detroit Pistons and he winds up leaving, and then basically at the end of the year where Jordan and Draymond got into a little fisticuffs, if you wind up losing both players and Draymond leaves anyway, and now you were kind of forced to move Jordan Poole and reset your franchise, then it's an F. So I know that's a huge if because we don't know exactly how it's going to go, but that's how I feel about it. If Draymond Green resigns, I'll give it a B minus. It's a reset. They're smarter. They'll take better care of the basketball. They got a better chance to win a title. And to me, I think the pieces do fit together. And I like the idea of moving off of Jordan Poole's contract. Not to mention, it saves the owner about $150 million in salary cap money. So if Green comes back, I'll give it a B minus. If Green leaves, it's an F because you did this move to kind of reset your team and to hopefully appease Draymond Green. And if Draymond Green still doesn't come back, then you've just gotten rid of a 24-year-old for a 38-year-old, and it's not a good move. So B minus if Green resigns, F if he doesn't. So that's move number one, and that was the move that came down first. And as far as the first round pick, it's top 25 protected or whatever it is. So, or top 20 protected. So you're not giving away a lottery pick. You're not giving away a top 10 pick. You're not giving away a top 20 pick. You're giving away a pick between 20 and 30. And, to me, that has limited value anyway. All right, let's go to the first round draft choice. Brandin Podziemski, the Santa Clara guard. He's an Illinois transfer. I really like this kid. This was one of my 5 favorite players going into the draft. Warriors had him ranked in the lottery. He could flat out shoot it. He can pass it. He can rebound. He's a playmaker. What I love the most is this kid competes. There's fire here. He's got elite competitive fire. He's got a really high skill level. Defensively, he's going to be challenged every night. He's a plus team defender, but as an individual defender, he's not a great defender. But guess what? Jordan Poole was a horrendous defender. But Podziemski led the WCC in rebounding at 8.8 a game. And that's something you can't teach. You can't teach rebounding. And this guy can rebound the basketball. It's also a translatable skill. I also love the kid's Midwestern roots. I really think that he is an interesting player because he works hard. He's got great skill. He's got great confidence, great fire. I like this pick a lot. They prioritize skill over size. Dunleavy said he never expects rookies to play right away, but they wanted, they wanted a guy with some skill. And this is a player that has good skill. He really does. And I think that in the long term, that's a good thing. You want skill. And this kid's got skill. Now, the comparison I've seen is Matthew Dellavedova. I don't think that's a good comparison at all. I think he's more like a Dante DiVincenzo. He's a combo guard. He's got a pure stroke. There's a lot of intangibles. He's super hyper competitive. Went to a military school for high school. He's a combo guard, and he can flat out shoot it, and he's really polished. But to me, it's the confidence, the swagger. He's a great spot-up shooter, terrific range. He's got deep range, great touch, lefty, excellent shooting stroke. So this guy's going to knock down perimeter shots, but it's the competitive fire that I really like. I felt like Jordan Poole was kind of like, hey, I'm about myself. This kid's an incredible competitor, and you can see it when you watch him play. He's a creative passer. I'm not saying he's white chocolate Jason Williams, but there's some elements there. He's an entertaining player. He's got great court vision, great anticipation. He sees the floor. He'll zip the half court passes and put it on a dime. He'll set up his teammates. He's a lot like DiVincenzo. He can rebound, he can pass, he makes other people better. He's got handle. He can play the one, he can play the two. He doesn't have huge quickness, but he's a mature, intelligent kid who really, really took off after he was buried on Illinois' bench. And then he became the big fish in the small pond and was super dynamic at Santa Clara. But what I also love about him is the rebounding. He's got 8.8 rebounds. That's great numbers for a guard. He'll play physical. He'll track down rebounds. He'll rebound out of his area. 44% three-point shooter. 2.5 makes per game as a sophomore. He's got elite shooting ability. He's a really good ball handler. He's crafty. He's got a great floater game. Now, he needs to hone every aspect of his game, but he's got a nice little Euro step. He'll pump fake and go to the hole. He's got some nice little hesitation moves off the bounce. I like him. I really do. He's good at driving. He can dish. This kid can play. He absolutely can play, and he's got confidence and toughness. He's not going to shrink when in the moment. He's not going to shrink if Draymond Green puts a finger in his chest. He's got work to do for sure. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's got NBA skills for sure. And I really like him. I'm going to give this pick a solid B plus. Solid B plus. I love the pure shot. He's going to have to work on his release a little bit. He's got to get it off faster against NBA athletes. The windows are small. He's not the strongest guy. He needs to work on that strength, but he ain't Dellavedova. He's more like DiVincenzo, and I think he'll make the adjustments. I can't wait to see him in the summer league in Vegas and in Sacramento this summer. I think I think Warrior fans are going to love this kid. For a lot of reasons. So I'm going to give this a B plus. I really like this pick a lot. And let's go to the next pick as well, because the Warriors also made another pick. They traded up in the draft, or they traded for a late second round pick. They traded Patrick Baldwin Jr. for the 57th pick overall, and they took Trayce Jackson Davis. And this was a player that I really, really liked. He's from Greenwood, Indiana. He was a four-year player, and you don't see that a lot. He was the second best player in all of college basketball last year. He won the Karl Malone Award as the nation's best power forward. Played 4 years in a system. This guy, he's everything except a perimeter shooter. The knock on him out of high school was that he didn't play hard. But what you have is a super athletic, undersized five. To me, there's a lot of really apt Draymond Green comparisons here. Why? Because this guy can rebound, he can block shots, and he can pass. Now, at times he's had back problems, but I think he's probably beyond that at this point. But what I really love about him, huge hands, and he really can control the basketball, and he can distribute. You can run your offense through him. He averaged 4.5 assists a game for Mike Woodson at Indiana. So, great quick second jumper. Doesn't try to do things he can't do. He's not going to shoot threes. He's more of an undersized five in an up-tempo scheme, but great passer, great shot blocker, great rebounder, scored 20 a game. So he's a finisher. You can throw this guy the lob. There's a lot to like about Trayce Jackson Davis. There really is. To me, this was one of my, he's a little bit older, he's not 19, he's, 23 going on 24. But there's a lot to like there too. Really, really, it's hard to find guys who are both facilitators and rim protectors. That's what Draymond is. He's a facilitator and he's a rim protector. He can make other people better because he can pass the ball. So can Trayce Jackson Davis. He can block shots. So can Trayce Jackson Davis. He can rebound. So can Trayce Jackson Davis. So I think this is an A. This pick's an A. To get this kid at 57, he should have gone 25 and he went 57. So A on Trayce Jackson Davis, B plus on Podziemski, either a B minus on the Chris Paul Jordan Poole trade if Draymond resigns, or an F if he doesn't. But overall, those are my grades on the Warriors draft picks and moves this week. Hope you enjoyed our video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. And thanks to all of you for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.